up in the wrestling business world once again, after being let down from a trashy situation, and now confirmed and coming soon, is the all-woman pay-per-view presented by NWA called EMPOWERRR. Mickie James has also confirmed NWA women talent will indeed be showcased on EMPOWERRR. But with the forbidden door becoming not so forbidden, will we also see talent from AEW, Impact Wrestling, and other promotions? Mickie James stated via Twitter, "I can confirm that every woman on the NWA roster that truly wants to be a part of this historic event and STL will be represented on EMPOWERRR. As of now, the confirmed card for NWA EMPOWERRR includes the following names: NWA Women's Champion Kamille, Tootie Lynn, Kylie Rae, and Genocide."
Actually, NWA EMPOWERRR, so we're having an all-women's pay-per-view. We're having EMPOWERRR, and I'm going to have a match. I don't know, I think we're debating over if it's somebody from AEW or Impact, but whoever it's going to be against, like, I'm going to put it all out there.
NWA held a press conference in St. Louis as James announced that the National Wrestling Alliance will host the first ever NWA Women's Invitational, with Tootie Lynn confirmed as the first entrant. The winner of the tournament will then go on to compete at NWA's 73rd anniversary show to contend for the NWA Women's Championship.
Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how honored I am to be a part of this monumental weekend. The first ever NWA all-women's pay-per-view, which is just the start of a whole new empowering vision that Billy has allowed me with the NWA to lead the charge on. Obviously, the NWA Women's Championship will be defended that night, but also for the first time ever, we are going to hold the NWA Women's Invitational, where we will find the top women in the industry, the up-and-coming, the rising talent that we see as the future prospects of the women in the industry. The first person I would like to announce as a part of this invitational is a St. Louis representative, and none other than Tootie Lynn. Ms. Tootie Lynn here from St. Louis as part of this amazing cup, and this will be defended once a year, always on the anniversary weekend, and the winner of this cup will face the NWA Women's Champion at NWA 73.
How did that feel?
That felt like a breath of fresh air. First of all, shout out to Mickie and Nick Aldi, the Chase, everybody that's allowing us to do it, and thank God for my fans, because without my fans, I wouldn't have even got on there. Like, without the buzz and, like, you know, my friends down at the dojo, my family, like, I wouldn't have got on it.
The NWA Women's Tag Team titles are also set to make a return. Mickie James, NWA owner Billy Corgan, and Nick Aldis took part in an Instagram video to announce the return of the titles. The new champions will be crowned at EMPOWERRR. Corgan confirmed during the video that the new championship belts were being made. There has not been NWA Women's Tag Team Champions since 1983, when the titles were discontinued after the WWE purchased the titles from the Fabulous Moolah to establish their own Tag Team Champions. Velvet McIntyre and Princess Victoria were the final champions.
The interest locally in St. Louis is like nothing we've ever seen in our 4 years of being in the company, Nick and I. We did every television station. Nick was on every major radio station. So the local interest is great because wrestling hasn't been at the Chase Hotel for 37 years.
Crazy.
And then, Mickie kicking up another notch with interest in the EMPOWERRR event. So, Mickie, I know we have one big announcement to make today.
Yeah.
I'd like you to do that honor, because
this is obviously something that we both had kind of discussed, and I felt like this was obviously, and obviously you did too, the perfect place to do that was to bring back the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships, which haven't been represented, haven't been seen since 1984.
3 years, something like that. It's been a while.
They were
right around the same time that Wrestling at the Chase.
Right around the same time, and it was like one of that last things before they went to the WWF at the time. I think those championships, and they just have not been seen since. So I think they bring back the history, and to do that is super cool. So thank you. I can't wait to see them. They're going to be beautiful. So in saying that, we have been obviously looking for some stellar female tag teams in order to represent those and to have a proper, matchup to find the top, tag title holders and to see who's going to win that night.
Yeah, well, I know something you and I talk about a lot is we have to build it, and part of rebuilding NWA into the 21st century is sort of kind of rebalancing our approach as a company. And it's interesting because when you look at the historical part of the NWA, going back to the 50s, Mildred Burke was a huge draw, but was never recognized officially as an NWA champion. Her belt was recognized by the NWA, the famous Mildred Burke belt. But the NWA actually didn't recognize a female champion until far later. I think something like 14 or something years into her reign as champion.
Right.
And then it was like, if anyone's read The Queen of the Ring, the book about Mildred Burke, she never actually really lost the belt. They kind of created another belt, which became the belt that Moolah had, and then that's the belt that ended up being the WWE belt all this way down the line.
Right.
So it's interesting because that's part of what we're trying to also sort of correct in the historical record is the Mildred Burke legacy, and then the tag is also a big part of that. And actually, I think Mae Young was one of the inaugural tag champions.
Wow. Yeah.
Like in 1953, something like that.
Right. Yeah. And I went back and I looked at the history of the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships and the Women's Championship as itself, as we were looking for like legends and people to perhaps come and be a part of this event on the legendary side, to kind of representatives of the history that was made, so we can put this event on today. And it's crazy, and it was wild to see that the tag titles would just go away, and so the fact that you're bringing them back is a huge thing. And I think thank you for letting us be able to hold the first and find the first ever champions at Empower, and it's going to be very, very exciting.
Well, I always like to say, and Nick is something Nick and I talk a lot about too. It's important that our company represent, the country that we live in, in terms of diversity and empowerment and every step along the way. So I think that's something we take a lot of pride in. So this is just one step in a bigger journey of putting all those pieces in place. So I look forward to bringing the tag championships back on the ladies' side. I think it'll be fun, and I think it'll be great to have more talent in the building vying for another NWA championship. And I have to say, I think we all got some goosebumps going in that room, thinking of the history there, and the fact that we get to kind of rechristen that room. The hotel couldn't have been more supportive and behind us on the thing, so it felt really cool. And there's something sort of just about wrestling coming back into such a beautiful institutional space. I think it says something about our continued fight to bring professional wrestling into the American mainstream. It's amazing to me that it's still sort of treated as other than. It's such a part of American life for over 100 years.
And it's funny you say that, because that was the one thing that stood out to me the whole week we were in St. Louis, was that never felt the case talking to the media in St. Louis. The KPLR studios, they're proudly representing their history of wrestling at the Chase in the lobby, at the studios, and just everywhere we went, the people that were talking to us from the media were very enthusiastic. There was no sideways comments. There was nothing that suggested that they felt, okay, we have to cover this, so here we go. Like, they were very enthusiastic about the show coming back, and in particular about it being at the Chase, because it's an institution in that city, and I think that anyone who comes, you're going to feel that same magic, because to your point, when we walked into that Coruscant ballroom, we all just had this moment where this has got a real vibe to it, real special energy to it, and I think that's going to translate to our audience.
I think when you stand there in the legacy of a Lou Thesz or a Mildred Burke or a Harley Race or a Dusty, I think that is just such an incredible. I can only speak for my side, from the rock side, but when I stand on the stage at Madison Square Garden and think I'm standing exactly where Robert Plant stood, or Bob Dylan, or Neil Young, I get goosebumps. I'm sorry, if you lose that part of yourself, then I think you're in the wrong business.
100, and that's why all those guys. That's why they did that work, was so that they could help provide a platform for the next set of guys to come and stand in that light. Like, I truly believe that.
Yeah, well, and I think that's all of our journey, right? Like, everybody's trying to hopefully level it up for the next generation, and I think that you can't, and like if we forget that history or we try to rewrite history, and then it kind of takes away from the legacy of how big and how amazing it really is, because it's taken a long time to get to where we are today, all the way through. So,
well, going to repeat myself a little. I mean, going back to the fact that Mildred Burke was not allowed to wrestle in many states in the 1930s and the 1940s. Then she got to be so popular that they started putting her on matches, ladies matches, on major cards, that the athletic commissions in some states had to relent and finally let her on. Then the NWA would not recognize the title officially as an NWA title.
right.
Then she got to the point where she was outdrawing. I've been buying some memorabilia lately. I mean, I've cards where she was the main event.
Right.
And there were big names on the card. It wasn't like she was the only name you would recognize. There were big names on the card, and she was headlining above other NWA championships, like the junior heavyweight champion, the national champion. So pretty remarkable. And somehow that history seemed to get lost along the way. And so I think part of what we're trying to do is kind of restore that balance. And so it's a big announcement for us today. Big day. So again, everybody, if you want to go, I highly recommend. Do not wait. This might be one of those things where hopefully we're all going to be surprised. All I can say is it's wrestling. You never know what's going to happen, but certainly the energy in the local market is like nothing I've ever seen in the 4 years of running the NWA. So it seems like that market's going to step up big and want tickets. So if you're coming in from anywhere else in the world, if you're a fan of Mickie, of course, will be wrestling on NWA 73. Mickie, we still don't know who your opponent is.
I know. Have you decided?
Is it my decision?
I've told the world that they keep asking, who's my opponent going to be? And I said, well, I've kind of given Billy just kind of a wish list, guest list, whatever. But I feel like it's only fair that I leave that decision in your hands.
Oh, okay.
Out
I'll
of
get my list again.
love for everything. And yeah, I'm excited to put my boots on
I
again.
want to be careful.
Oh, I should be
Careful
terrified.
what you wish for.
I cannot wait to wrestle again and at NWA 73, and I know that is going to be a monster card, and I can't wait for the announcements to come out about that.
There's so much talent out there, and I look and I see what everyone is doing, and I see it all, and it's really, really cool to see. And I think that we are in a real unique space to where women's wrestling can be. This show is going to be monumental. I really am hoping and praying for the best, and I thank you all for supporting me and wanting that with me too. And a huge, massive thank you to Billy for giving me the keys and giving me the platform and putting your faith in me and your trust in me to do something really different. And so the first announcement that I kind of wanted to say here to answer some stuff, as one of the things that I really, really want to do as a thing for Billy, and obviously I think St. Louis is such a historical place. Chase Ballroom it's going to be amazing, and we're really, really excited about it. But obviously August 28th is Empower live on Fight TV, and August 29th is NWA 73, the anniversary show. And so on the anniversary show, I am announcing that I am going to wrestle at NWA 73, and I'm looking for an opponent. And so I want you to tell Billy who you want to see me wrestle. Who wants to wrestle me at NWA 73? That is the big question. So, putting on this executive producer hat has been really, really interesting to me, and I think it's opened my eyes to a lot of things, and it's a huge task, and I'm so blessed to have the put on my shoulders, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, but I still want to wrestle. So, NWA 73, you will see Mickie James versus question. Let me know. Also, I want to say, finding talent for Empower, and really like the landscape is so vast. It's really, really awesome. But I also promised that I would give opportunities and for that untapped talent, unsigned talent, diamonds in the rough. And I want to know who those people are. And, I try to keep up with women's wrestling, and I've followed it, and what Shimmer's done, Shine's done, Rise done. Like, I'm no pioneer when it comes to this. Like, there's been
Mae Young Classic. There's been the Knockouts pay-per-view, what the Knockouts have done with women's wrestling before. It was like a real, like that was, I was grateful to be a part of that. So I think I'm really excited. I'm excited about the weekend, and I'm excited about all this stress and all this stuff, but I also am excited for the chance to lace up my boots again and show I never lost it. But also, yeah, it's really, really cool to see. It's a fun space to be in. But for those diamonds in the rough, I want you to email me your packages, your tapes, your promos, whatever it is that you send to promoters. Send me that. I want that. MickieJamesProject@gmail.com. Send me what you got, because I'm looking for you.
Mickie James was also recently trending when she returned to Impact Wrestling for the 2021 Slammiversary event. Mickie James stunned fans by appearing moments after Deonna Purrazzo retained her Knockouts Championship in a hard-fought battle against surprise competitor Thunder Rosa. James interrupted Purrazzo's post-match promo and offered to have her appear at NWA EMPOWERRR. That segment was ended with Mickie delivering a mitt kick to Deonna Purrazzo. But on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, Mickie James appeared once again, and Gail Kim was featured in the segment, and Purrazzo did eventually agree to appear at NWA EMPOWERRR. Mickie James also has her team of producers behind the scenes helping her handle the EMPOWERRR event. That team includes Gail Kim, Medusa, Lufisto, Jazz, and Brent Taring, aka Timmy Baltimore. Mickie James has a lot more to give and isn't stopping now. The NWA seems to be committed to regaining the legacy and prestige as a company they once had. An alternative look and feel to what's available today, NWA looks to continue navigating their own lane with the upcoming EMPOWERRR and NWA 73 events. Will you be tuning in? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more from Sidenote Suplex.